Our soapbox social panel is here again, and what a week in politics it has been. A second BC United MLA crossed the floor to the BC Conservatives, and Kevin Falcon said he was shocked by critic Eleanor Sturco's defection. Here's a Surrey South MLA Eleanor Sturco, followed by BC Conservative leader John Rustad.
BC United is not resonating with British Columbians. The BC Conservatives are resonating right now.
But Eleanor, as a former military as well as former police, she's a very strong spokesperson. She's very strong, particularly on dealing with the issues of crime and addictions. And she's been passionate about wanting to see that change in this province. So I'm very much looking forward to working with her as we fill out, our platform on those issues.
That's Eleanor Sturco and John Rustad, both with the BC Conservatives, and both speaking to the CBC this week. Now, joining me in studio with their thoughts is our soapbox social panel. Kyla Lee is a Vancouver criminal lawyer for Acumen Law Corporation. Hi there.
Hello.
And Mo Amir is the host of the podcast This is Van Color. Welcome to you.
Hello, Belle.
Let's start with you, Mo. What are your general thoughts about the shifts in BC's political landscape over the past 7 days? You need a map.
Well, first of all, I'm a little disappointed. I thought I was going to roll in here and be praised as an oracle, a moracle, if you'd like, because I predicted this last week on this very program. I said there was going to be 1 to 4 defections. We had 2.
Yeah.
They happened on Friday and Monday. I predicted before anyone else in the media did. I said it was going to happen on this program, and it did. In terms of what this means, it means that BC United is cooked. And I said this last month, but they are absolutely fried. They're basically just wasting everyone's time at this point. And I know that people like to say, oh, well, 5 months is an eternity in politics. No, 5 months is 5 months in politics. They've had, if you look at the last year, they've had no glimmer of optimism. They spent $1 million on these high visibility television ads during hockey games. And what were the results? Nosediving in the polls, and people liked Kevin Falcon less. So the idea that they're going to somehow turn this around, or that morale is high, or they're rallying the troops, is just not true. Now, what they should have done, they knew that this was coming. This was forecasted quite a long time ago. The talks have been going on for quite a long time. Kevin Falcon should have come out literally the next hour and said, you know what, we're going to run Diane Watts in Surrey Cloverdale. Or Plan C, Kevin Falcon himself will run in Surrey Cloverdale. But they didn't blunt it. They kind of just took it on the chin. They went after Eleanor, which is, again, a candidate that they themselves picked. And so I think they're cooked. I think it's over. I think they're wasting everyone's time.
Political whiplash? Are you suffering from that, Kyla?
A little bit, yes. It's a little bit disappointing to see somebody like this move to a party that has expressed such strong anti-LGBTQ views and platformed people who've expressed those views. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and attack a queer person for, choosing some of their principles over some of their other principles. I mean, that's what you do when you're in politics, and I think you have to make those compromising decisions. But it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth as a voter.
Yeah, well, we heard Eleanor Sturco say, what was it? Under a big tent, there's room for everyone. But it is certainly something that is quite surprising. So
I think we should give them credit, though. Like, again, I completely understand, and people are pointing out the inconsistent logic here. But the BC Conservatives do have a diverse slate of candidates, arguably more diverse than BC United in terms of certainly in terms of racial diversity, and I suppose in terms of sexual orientation, right? Like, I get the concerns. They have some fringe extreme candidates who have said some things, but at the same time, when you look at their slate of candidates, it is relatively diverse.
Just at the start of the show, I was talking to BC United MLA Ian Payton, and he said that morale in the party is extremely good.
People that are extremely smart, that are going to be able to walk into cabinet positions. So we're going to let this thing work. We're going to work hard all summer long, come out with new policy ideas, and convince people that, the former BC Liberal Party, now BC United, we're here with the right people, with the right experience and the right enthusiasm to keep going and get this done, and move the NDP government aside and get back to common sense government with BC United.
That's BC United MLA Ian Payton. So we know what Mo thinks. Kyla, what do you think of BC United's position as we get closer to Election Day?
That sounds a lot like the chant I do to myself in the mirror of the courthouse when I know I'm losing a case. Like, you're strong, you're intelligent, you can do it, you've got this, and then don't cry. It's not believable to me.
You know, they had a director of communications post on Instagram that they were looking for a new job. They had another director of communications for the caucus tweet the rat symbol towards Eleanor. Like, you know, I don't believe that morale is high. I think unfortunately it's pretty low.
So, and you know, you made your prediction last week.
Sure.
So, any thoughts on? Okay, well, any thoughts on the odds of, you know, 2 more MLA switching parties before we see you next week?
That's a good question. You know, the other 2 candidates that I did have in mind were Ian Payton and Teresa Watt. They've really planted their flag, so I actually doubt that we'll see any BC United MLA switch over. We still might see some candidates. I'm hearing that actually the fundraising coordinator for BC United is switching over to the BC Conservatives as well. So that might be coming down the pipe. I think you'll see some changes like that. I think we've already started to see some organizers or people involved with the party switching over. So that's going to continue to happen through the summer. But in terms of like the front page headline of Eleanor Sturko, I think we're probably done there.
Kyla, the BC Conservatives now, of course, have twice as many MLAs as the Greens, who once allowed the NDP to form government. The leader, Sonia Furstenau, is set to run in Victoria Beacon Hill, which is considered an NDP stronghold. So should the Greens be worried about falling to just 1 seat after the next election?
I think they should be worried. I see what Sonia Furstenau is doing. Her political strategy is being not wanting to compromise on any principles and maintaining sort of the social justice, left-leaning, environmentally friendly, pro-healthcare, pro-masking, pro-vaccination stance that they've always maintained. And to some extent, I think that that's a smart political strategy because it's not going to alienate anyone from her base at a time when the big parties, the NDP, the BC United, and the Conservatives are all alienating people from their base by taking different positions and sometimes by waffling on their positions. But is it going to attract new blood, new voters, new candidates, star candidates? Probably not. So I think they are in a bit of a precarious position, but also in a bit of a between a rock and a hard place situation.
So the BC Greens seem to be focusing on healthcare rather than climate change lately. NDP MLA Murray Rankin announced he would not seek re-election. The BC's touted their candidate, Dr. Lisa Gunderson, a psychologist and a clinician. Is this apparent shift good or bad for the Greens?
I actually don't see it as a shift. I think under Sonia Furstenau, they have been a holistic party. I think they suffer from the opposite of what the BC Conservatives have been benefiting from. So the BC Conservatives benefit from the quote-unquote conservative brand. The BC Greens, on the other hand, I think to their detriment, have largely been looked at as just a climate change party and only about the environment. But for the last few years, under Sonia Furstenau's leadership, I think they have been a holistic party, but they suffer from just that brand recognition that they are more than just about climate change.
And I'm going to put this to both of you. We'll start with you, Kyla. The BC NDP appears to be kind of reveling in the sniping that's going on the right, putting out a release that, hey, look, John Rustad never said sorry to Eleanor Sturko for homophobic comments. How much does the NDP need a divided right?
Oh, they definitely need a divided right. If they had a united right, they would be in I think, a very precarious position. But with a divided right, they stand a good chance of coming through this with a significant number of seats. I know Mo and I differ on our predictions of how that's going to end up, but they are in their best position the more the votes on the right are divided.
The only where I'll push back is that we assume that all of the BC United votes go to the BC Conservatives. I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think the BC NDP has already ate their lunch in the center by bringing over some of those quote-unquote federal Liberal voters. And so it's a big assumption to say that it's a big assumption to even guess what the split is of the remaining BC United votes. What I will say, though, is I've talked to a few BC NDP staffers. They're very confused, right? Because BC United basically unloaded all of its opposition research last week on the BC Conservatives. So I don't think they have anything else in the chamber. So they might still be digging, but I think that's about it. But for all that opposition research to come out so early, I think BC United, or the BC NDP, are basically just waiting to see what happens. I feel like there's this sense that the rules are out the window. I think this election is going to be a dogfight nonetheless. I think David Eby actually matches up really well against John Rustad. So whether BC United is still in the race or not, I think it's going to be a very tough campaign, a very dirty campaign in a lot of ways, a very messy campaign. But I think right now the BC NDP, because of their brand recognition, because of how well organized they are, the candidates that they have, they should be feeling somewhat confident but still ready to work hard.
Let's switch it up a little bit before we let you go. Swimmers so upset that Kit's Pool will not be fixed or open this summer. Any ideas on what we can do with the pool besides swim in it?
I have a great idea. We're so divided right now. We've just spent the last 10 minutes talking about how divided we are. But one thing will bring us all together. And that's if we drain the pool and we make a community candy salad. Everybody bring a bag of candy, dump it in the empty pool, and we all eat candy together.
That'll solve all the problems.
That will solve the world's problems.
That sounds like Pigeon Park and Seagull Park all in one.
Any ideas?
Maybe some rats.
A pool where you can't swim, Mo?
I have this idea of a public art installation, and the artwork will be gigantic, and it should be a big barge.
Another barge. That's what we need.
It's very close to our identity here in Vancouver, especially over the last few years.
Of course. Listen, the last time the three of us were together, you two were all hyped about rushing off to see Messi play soccer.
Yeah.
Have you recovered?
I'm very interested to see where the class action lawsuit that's been filed goes. Trust me, as a lawyer, that was rolling around in my head too, but I thought I probably shouldn't be the one to bring it forward.
My tickets and my beers were comped, so I was having a good time regardless.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks for coming in. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.